No lesson taught in a school textbook ever originated in a school textbook. We are told that school is where smart individuals go, that good grades reflect a sharp and thriving mind. But intellectual discoveries are not somehow exclusive to the classroom. Some of the greatest epiphanies in the history of human thought were cultivated outside the classroom by mostly self-taught pioneers of the mind. Epiphanies like Newton's understanding of gravity, or Einstein's insights on general relativity, or Charles Darwin's realization on the theory of evolution. These epiphanies shot humanity forward to unprecedented levels of understanding and intuition about the nature of this universe. But none of these epiphanies occurred in a classroom. Schools do not teach children how to have such epiphanies. They only teach students how to memorize someone else's epiphanies. Test scores and grades are designed to measure one's ability to remember the information someone else discovered. But the deeper human qualities that led to those discoveries are mostly ignored in school and not taught to children. It is a fascinating phenomenon to know that the boldest, most paradigm-shifting ideas sparked like tinder within the consciousness of past minds occurred spontaneously, often without effort. Newton sat pondering life in his mother's garden when an apple fell from the tree above, and in that instant, with a seemingly random spark of insight, the idea of gravity sprouted in Newton's mind. No classroom, no tests, no grades. Some might say, but Newton studied at Cambridge, so his epiphany required schooling. True that what he learned from school likely helped enlighten his mind, but consider the first words from the start of this. No lesson taught in a school textbook ever originated in a school textbook. For every lesson Newton memorized, there was a human mind before him that stumbled across the epiphany that later generations of academics would stand upon in schools and universities. Thus, epiphanies come from somewhere else, somewhere deeper, a raw inner source, when the human mind is open and connected to a pure awareness of what is possible and true. No classroom, no tests, no grades ever created an epiphany. Albert Einstein was sitting by a lake, daydreaming as a boat slowly drifted by. As he observed aloofly from a state of consciousness that was half present, half lost in thought, he experienced a sudden igniting of insight. The contrast between a stationary position as he observed the boat float by and the moving of the boat itself caused a rapid awakening in the destined genius's mind. The theory of general relativity was born. No classroom, no tests, no grades. Even as Charles Darwin scathed the Galapagos Islands for specimens, he was feeling the ache of judgment from a lifetime of failure in school. His father was always disappointed in his poor educational performance, and Darwin had decided that the intellectual world of institutional schooling was not for him. So he left on a voyage, for anything was better than where he came from. As Darwin became fascinated and fixated by the creatures and exotic life forms that thrived on these islands, he studied what he found without any of the pressures of performing, like passing a test or getting good grades, that were typically found in schools. No, there was no performance anxiety. It was pure immersion. Darwin thirsted for knowledge. He yearned from within to study these life forms, and his passion and presence was the fuel that would drive him forward and eventually kindle his world-changing theory of evolution. No classroom, no tests, no grades. For a man who performed poorly in institutionalized schooling, Darwin sure has become a central lesson for institutionalized schools around the world today. Darwin went from being a poor student in school to becoming a central lesson taught to all students in schools across the world. That is, indeed, true irony. Modern institutionalized schools have become factories where insecure individuals can acquire a piece of paper called a diploma or degree, which in reality tends to only indicate one's ability to memorize and regurgitate the epiphanies of someone else. Schools do not teach children how to have such epiphanies. They only teach students how to memorize someone else's epiphanies. A good grade does not necessarily reflect a good mind. And maybe, more importantly, a bad grade does not necessarily reflect a bad mind. I'll close this using the same words I began with. No lesson taught in a school textbook ever originated in a school textbook. It originated from a much more deep and divine place.